Hey, this is Key Creative Studio, Master Drawing Japan. Let's make a point to draw every day. Um, the title of this video is like how to make bad drawings, good drawings, or something along those lines. And I'm gonna go over some drawings from one of my students who is really a beginner. So I have to take that in consideration as we look at these drawings. Also, there's no such thing as a bad drawing. Okay, I don't mean that as a platitude. If you are getting an idea out of your mind and actually like bringing that into reality, that's an achievement in itself, and I think that's what makes us unique as animals and as a species on this planet. So um, the problem is how to get those ideas to be like more refined and closer to something we can realize, sorry, we can recognize as something being believable. Okay, so when I when I say there's no such thing as a bad drawing, I really do mean that everybody has the ability to draw, um, because everyone has the capability of speech, or writing, and reading, in their particular language. So if they can do that, they can draw. So to get to the point in terms of what drawing is, so yes, drawing is a language, and but drawing is not writing. Okay, so I think that's one of the problems, that, like, looking at some these other drawings like by my student, um, I think she's still hung up on trying to write what she's seeing, and what we're doing is we're more so like we're more like we're sculpting, actually, like, with our pencil. So let's start with this one. Okay, so I will ghost this down a little bit so we can work it a little bit better. Okay, good. So what is good about this drawing is that, like, the overall idea is there. The problem is in the execution, and also what's happening with the body. Okay, so that's a common problem people have when it comes to drawing. They just, when they don't know um, what's happening, it's that much more difficult, to to replicate that, or to bring that into reality. I keep on telling my student, I tell all my students, that the priority is the gesture. Okay, that is number one, is the gesture. Okay, um, it's not the shapes, it's not the cute design. If you want to draw a figure that is believable, the gesture is the number one thing that we have to get across, because the gesture is what communicates the story. Okay, so we have here, I guess we have a female figure who's like walking, maybe like kind of like cross, like, in other words, like she's crossing her leg over as she's walking. So okay, so the general gesture is here, actually, but we need to refine that. So you have to think in terms of the body. The torso usually tends to the torso tends to when it's in a standing position. I'm going to draw right over this. Okay, when it's in a standing position, let's say that the head is here. Okay, the chest usually tends to push out, right? And also, um, the pelvis also pushes forward in a way too, right? So then, we get this compression in the back, and this is going in. So this is what we call in drawing or in animation like squash and stretch. You have like a stretch here, and then you have like a compression going in here. So that's the basic relationship that you want to have when you draw a figure. Okay. Of course, now I'm doing this a little bit like devoid of like perspective and things like that, but generally, but that's what what we're looking for. Okay. So whenever I draw the figure, that's what I think about. I think about like the chest pushing forward. The pelvis is also like part of that arc pushing forward. The leg also has this rhythm like that. So whenever I draw, I always try to define like where the rhythms are, because the human body basically is always this series of rhythms. That are working together, and that's why things look right, and that's why they don't look right, when they're lacking, that kind of rhythm. Okay, I guess I don't want to do this with the hand. I'll make this up. All right, so there's the basic gesture. Can you see it? Okay. All right. That's what she had, but another thing, you also have to I always think about like how is the character supporting itself, right? So basically, for example, if I had a triangle like this, right? Like, I'm sorry. If I had two sticks, if I was on my way to make a triangle, right? And I only put two lines here, right? Now, if this is actually like a real object, if there's nothing to support it, this would fall down, right? So if I put another line here to support it, then it should not fall down, right? And we can, if this is like a base here, we can believe that this is on a stable position because the weight is distributed down here like that, right? If I had another table here, and then if I put a triangle, or you know what, I'll make it so you guys can really understand what I'm talking about. I'll make it a pyramid, right? So if I have this pyramid here, like extending on its point like this, right? Right? What's going to happen, right? Obviously, it cannot keep this position, right? So we expect this. We expect this thing to boom, like to fall down like that, right? Because how is it going to keep itself up, right? So that's the same thing like with a human body. You have to think about like how the figure. I'm just going to do a quick stick figure here. How is it supporting itself, right? So you see I have like the legs distributed in a way that it's believable that this figure can be standing here. Right? And not, even though it's a very crude image, but we can believe like this is something that is able to support itself, right? So that's the kind of relationship like you want to have with your figures. You don't want a situation where um, it's looking like, like how is it keeping itself up? How is it not falling over, right? Okay, so that being said, so so I have the gesture here, and really that's most of it. That's what. Now I've changed the. You know what? I was gonna put the head here because I really felt that it makes more sense. And actually, sometimes you should take liberty and um, change the pose if you feel that it's not working. But I'm gonna just for spite's sake, I'm gonna position it just the way that it was before, just to show that it could be done. Okay, all right, but still, right? Okay, all right. So once you have the gesture, it's really a matter of adding in your volumes. And I know this seems like a very basic thing, but um, I've come to realize that sometimes doing things that are simple um, are not always that easy for people, and sometimes it takes discipline to do things that are simple sometimes, right? For some reason, maybe it's because we take these things for granted, or maybe like we're overthinking things. Okay, but anyway, all right. So all I'm doing, when I add these volumes, I'm adding these volumes almost like, um, like they're cups, or cylinders in a way, so I can have something like I can work with, right? Okay. So when you make a volume, you have to make sure that the volume is something that is believable and has a center. It has a core, so it has like a solidity to itself, but it has like this hollowness. And I mean hollow, meaning that it's something that um, has like this inner core or space. Um, so it's not. So we're not just doing like lines, right? Okay. Oops. Okay. All right. There are other drawings I want to talk about, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one. But you have the idea here, okay? For this other one over here, it's the same problem. Um, it's a matter of like really understanding the volumes and like making sure that the gesture is clear, and make sure that a nice there's a clear rhythm to it. Oops. Actually, you know what? Let me back up, because that's another thing, that people sometimes don't do when they're drawing, is like, you have to think a little bit, right? You really have to think and be able to see, like what the heck is happening with with the gesture here, right? Now, I don't think a person can stand like this. Actually, I don't know what the original drawing is. I'm sorry, it's not making sense. But in order for this to work, for someone who's going to be standing like this, and then I guess they're going to be like twisting like this, so the head's going to be like that. Okay, the back is here, so this is twisting around. All right, this leg is probably could be more like that. For now, sorry, I don't know what the original drawing is, but I'm trying to make this to make sense. The neck is here, shoulder is here, trapezius is here. Okay, forearm, sorry, upper arm is here. All right. Again, she's twisting away. Means the ribs are here, like that. This is twisting this way. Now, I'm not gonna be unsympathetic. In the fact that drawing actually is not easy, but it's not impossible to do at all. You start with like what is simple first, and then you work it from there, right? You don't try to like get everything like all at once, because it's, well, first of all, it's not gonna happen. Okay, and two, if you take your time, you'll find yourself being able to capture a lot more of what you're trying to visualize here. Okay. Still, this pose is a little funky, but I think this is a little bit better than before. Okay. I think maybe the head was like turned in like this. That means sorry. So that means ears here, nose is here, mouth is here. Now, so we got something like that. Okay. You notice what I'm doing for the hands, that I'm not putting that much detail into it. I'm just putting like just a gesture there, because actually that's all you need. I mean, unless we're doing like a very full detailed rendering or drawing or something like that. No one is sitting there like making sure that nobody's counting fingers. Okay. Because people are more concerned with like what is being communicated in the gesture, right? Okay, you see that? All right. So you know, when I do these drawings, um, the priorities are, okay, gesture, twos, rhythm. Oh, we can read. Actually, write that better. Rhythm. 3, volume. 4 is weight. Right? Those are the priorities. Um, I can't find like a snazzy um, acronym for this, GRVW, um, but gesture, rhythm, volume, weight. If you get those, that's really gonna, you know, take your drawing really um, uh, to a closer realm of believability. Okay, if you get that. Um, don't have that much time, actually. I'm gonna try to do one more for you guys. Uh, uh, okay, all right, I'll take this for example. All right, goes this down a little bit. Okay, so the same problem. You know what? And actually, I'm not gonna. Um, I guess I will draw over it. All right. So problem is here is that, look, these volumes are not working at all, right? This is, I'm not saying this to be cruel, to my student. I'm just saying this as a matter of honesty, so we can be for clarity, right? You want to be clear about what you're drawing. So this does not read to me um, um, bone that is um, um, that's housed by muscle and flesh. This looks more like a piece of, I don't know, like just chewed up bubble gum, like chewing gum that's like left. So and again, I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm really not, but this kind of shape, you know, this, this thing, that no, that will not do. Okay, so make things simple. Make them simple. All right. We all know that the thigh is a full volume like this, right? Not a piece of chewing gum like that. Okay. I know this position is always tricky for people, but just simplify it. Just do another cylinder, right? So if you have a cylinder like this, okay, again, we have a clear volume. We don't have a piece of chewing gum, okay? All right. So from this, we can flesh this out. We know the muscle is going to be like this. Of course, the hip is going to be in here like that. Knee is here like this. So if here, in terms of the lower leg, it's going to go like that. And this is going to curve in like this. Okay. Ankle is going to be here. Foot's going to be there. All right. Right. So, if you're having, difficulty like getting these things, just slow down and really realize, like what's happening here. Okay. Whenever you draw, again, you want to draw these things as like full volumes. Okay. This is trying to like trace out um, what you think you see. Okay. There's a line in the designer Michael Battese's book, Force for Drawing. He says the problem is that people have is like when they draw is that they lie, and I don't mean like an intentional lie. It's like they lie in terms of what they think they're seeing and what they think they're drawing, and if they just look at it, right, you're just like, hey, that looks nothing like what's in front of me, right? So don't lie. Don't lie to yourself. You have to look at it and say, does it really look like that? If it doesn't look like that, you change it. You change it. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Okay. I mean, I know it's not easy. Again, I have complete sympathy. Drawing is not easy, but but it need not be more difficult, than it should be. Okay. All right. Um, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop here for today because I don't really have that much time. But I will come back again and I'll show you guys some other drawing tips. Okay. All right. This was helpful. Please give me a like and subscribe. Give me a little incentive, so I can make these things a little bit more often and more timely. Okay. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, like leave me a comment. I'm always happy to answer any questions, and I'm happy to receive, any comments that you have. All right. See you next time. All right. Bye.